Kendo Podcast episode 103. In this episode, I would like to share opportunities to strike.
Kendo Podcast by Hiro Mafuji from kendoguide.com. Thank you for listening. This podcast is about Japanese martial arts Kendo for Kendo lovers and supported by Kendo enthusiasts through patreon.com. Thank you for your support, guys. Please visit kendoguide.com for more Kendo information and how to support kendoguide.com.
Welcome to Kendo Podcast episode 103. Now I'm looking at Kendo Jidai, April 2018 issue number 550. That's page 58. I think this article is written Yoshinari Masahiro. It doesn't say it's a sensei or not, so I'm not too sure. If he's a sensei, I'm so sorry that I'm just don't really know about him. But anyway, this article on the 58, I'm gonna share 7 opportunities on this page. Number 1, when your opponent is just about to move. We call it debana. Okay, when your opponent is just about to move and you get their men or kote or whatever. So we call it debana men or debana. Debana means just about to move. Okay. And number 2, when your opponents are blocking. Okay, that is an opportunity to strike. So for example, if your opponent is blocking men, okay, hiding his men or her men because they think you are going to strike their men. You can see somewhere is open. For example, kote or do or migi do or hidari do. All right, left or right do. All right, and when they are done with their techniques, so for example, after they strike men, you don't let them go. You chase them. When they turn around, strike. Usually, when they're done with their techniques, that there will be some kind of openings. So you do not want to let them go without you putting pressure on. Okay, so very important. Number 4, itsuita tokoro. Itsuita tokoro is when they are frozen. All right, so for some reason, like by 4 sicknesses, kyo, ku, gi, waku, surprise or fear or doubt or hesitation, some kind of these 4 sicknesses happen in their mind. They freeze, okay, and then you strike when they freeze. Number 5, when they are retreating. So for example, from Sbazeria, they want to back up a little bit. Or when you take a step forward, all right, get closer to your opponent, and they step back. All right. Now, that's like kata number 6. Okay. So kata number 6, if you're stachi, lifting up your kensaki, and then uchitachi, take a step backwards, taking joda. Right, you take a step forward. Okay, you do not want to leave them because that's the time they would try to get away with your ki, right? So they can get ready again. Okay, so they don't like it because they're not ready to strike. Okay, so that's why you do not want to give them time to recover from your pressure. Okay, number 6, when they are breathing in. Okay, people are vulnerable when they breathe in. And number 7, when they lose balance. For example, they are striking men from far away, and they lose balance, and then you strike. Okay, so these are not everything. But probably if you get those right, you can strike them properly, or these are really good opportunities to strike. So you can study those. Now, even though you understand these, it doesn't mean you can execute your techniques when these happen, right? So if you just study Kendo, your job is to just keep striking. First, you have to learn correct basics, and then you have to keep those basics and then turn your basics into advanced techniques. Advanced techniques, based on your basics, a lot of people lose their basics when they start striking small. So you have to transform yourself into very good advanced Jokyusha, the advanced people, right? So gradually is good. Don't try to change all of a sudden, all right? You can't do it. So gradually you should transform yourself into better Kendo player, all right? So Kendoist. So don't worry about this if you're just starting Kendo. Your job is execute strikes properly. That is the basic idea. And then once those strikes, executing proper techniques becomes your second nature. Now you have to think when to strike. First, you should strike. You should know your distance, okay, your own striking distance. Otherwise, none of your techniques work. Okay, you need to know not too close, not too far. You need to know from this distance I can strike. Okay, and then from there, you start. How are you gonna learn the opportunities to strike is you get hit all the time by higher grade holders. Okay, remember when they striking you. Okay, that's the time you should strike them too. But because they are higher than you, they know what you're gonna do. Okay, that's the difference. So that's okay. That's okay to get hit. Your job is to execute properly. At the same time, you have to remember when they hit you. Okay? And then once your level, your abilities catch up with their abilities, other higher grade holders' abilities, you kind of start seeing it. Okay? And then you are not always beginner. Always the next person comes and they want to be a beginner, all right? You're a kohai, you're a junior student. You can execute, you can practice those techniques on them. That doesn't mean you beat them up, okay? You actually help them to improve, which is they have to strike you, okay? And then that you use them, okay? You use them to execute proper techniques. Okay, for example, you can see them coming. When they're coming, you can strike debana. Okay, debana waza. For example, when they're just about to execute a men strike on you, you sense it. You can easily see it. So you strike men when they are just about to move. That is called debana men. Right? Men, suriyage men, kote suriyage men, kote suriyage kote, men kaishito. Whatever the techniques you're learning, you can try that on them. Okay, but make sure they strike properly. Your job is you have two jobs. Now you have to let them strike you, and at the same time you're gonna learn those techniques. Okay, so that is probably if you're Q level, you don't really have to worry about techniques. Of course, you have to start learning, but focus more on proper techniques, proper strikes. Okay, men suriyage men or men kote suriyage men. If you're good at those, that's fine, but very hard to do. Instead, you should know your distance, know your distance, and then you have to learn when to strike. Okay, so when they come in, you strike. When they go backwards, they retreat, you strike. Okay, so these are very basic, very basic opportunities to strike. Okay, so please practice that. All right. And then when you become shodan or nidan, you start kind of thinking about some, kote suriyage men or men kaishi do. Those techniques, kote kaishi men, that's very common technique now because because of a lot of reasons. I'm not going to say that here. So whatever you think you can learn quickly, it depends on how I wasn't good at door strike, so I didn't learn menkai do or door strike. Well, I learned it when I was junior high school, but I never got valley cut in Shiai. I wasn't very good, so I didn't even think to strike those. I didn't bother. But when I became fourth dan, I start learning menkai do or mennuki do or something, do-related techniques. And then I can strike very good now. I don't say, super good, but I can strike. So it depends on you, all right, what you're good at. Is different. So find your favorite or something you can you can learn easily. Okay. Kote suriyage kote is number 6, kata number 6. Men suriyage men is kata number 5. All right. Men nuki men is number 1, but it's a bit different. Kote nuki kote is number 2, right? So those techniques are already there, so probably it's easier to learn, all right? But anyway, you can learn these techniques, whatever the techniques your sensei always use, that could be your favorite technique as well. But anyway, so you just have to learn those things. So first dan to third dan, maybe it's time for you to learn many strikes. Many techniques, and then polish up your favorite techniques. Okay, if you cannot do some stuff, that's fine. You can learn it later. All right, and fourth dan to sixth dan, maybe fourth, yon dan, go dan, roku dan. Maybe we have to start thinking about tame, seme, and tame, and that's a different story. So fourth dan, probably you should start thinking about seme. How you put pressure. Okay, it is very hard. Probably it's the entrance of how you put pressure. So shodan to sandan, you learn those techniques and then polish up your favorite techniques. And then fourth dan level, you start thinking about putting pressure. So how that means start learn what you should be doing before you execute any techniques. Okay, so for example, sansappo, we have 3 killing techniques, which is one is kill the sword, and second one is kill the techniques, and the third one is the most difficult one. Kill the ki energy, right? That is very hard to do. So, but you have to start thinking about how can I kill the shinai? As long as your opponent's shinai is right in front of you in the center, you cannot strike, right? You shouldn't execute a strike. So, how can you kill the sword? Okay, number 1. And kill the techniques is you don't want to let your opponent execute strikes. Okay, techniques. All right, so it's kind of related to each other. Kill the technique, kill the shinai. If you kill the shinai, probably they won't execute techniques either. All right, so it's very related. So, for example, kill the techniques as well. So you attract your opponent. Okay, you set up a trap. Come on, my man is open. Come and strike my man. All right, and then you're killing his technique menkaishi do. So you set up a traps everywhere. Okay, so that's kind of 5th dan, maybe 6th dan level. All right, 7th dan, 8th dan level is they can do that easily. So that is another thing. So ki is probably 8th dan level and 7th dan level. You have to start thinking about kyo koros, which is kill the ki energy, which is very, of course, related to shinai, and kill the shinai, kill the techniques, and then kill the ki energy. That's probably a lot of pressure on you, and then you can't do anything. For example, I felt the pressure from late Murayama sensei and late Tsurumaru sensei. Like, for example, Tsurumaru sensei was like, he got really big all of a sudden. It was like a wave. When he comes in, like big wave is like shooting at me. And also Murayama sensei, I felt I thought his shinai was like suburi shinai, like fat and big. Of course, it's not, but kind of because of the pressure you're feeling from them, all of a sudden they got bigger. So I felt that when I don't know, I was probably high school around there. So that is key. They didn't do anything; they were just there. But I was overwhelmed by their existence. So probably that's the key, killing the key. I don't know. So, but it's hard to tell. But you have to start thinking about those. But always start from the basics. The basics includes knowing your own distance, and by knowing your own distance, everything starts. Techniques. If you don't know your distance, how can you get a valid cut? How can you reach your opponent? How can you, how can you get the right distance to execute your techniques? If you don't know the distance, none of them works. All right. So please make sure that you learn your own distance. A lot of people still shodan, nidan level, or even sandan level. It's kind of, do you really know your distance? And just focus on that, and then focus on kiken taichi, and once you get those things together, you will be sweet. You can add more stuff on your kendo. If you can't do those, you just can't do much. Okay, and then you have to you can do everything. Then you start practicing those opportunities I shared at the beginning of this podcast. Debana waza, when they are coming forward, when they're going backwards, when they are frozen for sicknesses, when they're blocking your strikes, all those kind of things you can kind of start seeing, especially with the lower grade holders. Okay, so do not beat them. You have to let them strike you, and so you can practice. Okay, so this is very important, but they need to practice their strikes, and you need to practice your kendo as well. So it's a win-win situation. You can beat them. Everyone knows that. So don't beat them up, right? Don't pound on them, because they won't be happy. Right, you have to enjoy your kendo. They have to enjoy their kendo. If some people don't know what they're doing and start, having a big mouth, and then you have to be more humble, and then you have to, cleanly beat them up. Not like, beat them up. Cleanly, okay, I was letting you strike you, so don't be a big mouth. Kind of thing, okay? So they need to know that, because you have to be humble. We have to help each other. So that is the bottom line. So please make sure, if you're a senior student, senpai, don't beat them up. Let them strike you, and you can execute proper strikes on them. And they need to learn proper techniques either. So they need to strike properly. Okay, so everything is win-win situation. All right. So I hope this podcast, this episode, helps you with opportunities to strike and how to learn those opportunities. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next podcast.